Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with his good friend, the Lumberjack. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing super awesome. Love the new view too. I feel like I'm actually being like interviewed. I'm waiting for you to shine a light in my eyes.
Hey, I'm trying, right? I'm very much ready, fire, aim, right? I just try to make every day better than the day before. Yeah, so I'm trying. I got this office. I got all these angles I've set up, and I almost never show them. So
yeah, it's perfect. I love it.
Whatever.
Let's do it.
Hey, what I want to talk about here is something you and I have talked kind of casually off recording.
Okay.
And that is the fact that both of us have seen a market uptick in tenants asking for help.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
So let's talk about that first, but then I think there's a warning for landlords. But let's talk about what we're seeing today versus, gosh, the depths of the crisis. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I've seen. I think in 2020, I think it was 2 people, maybe 3. So it was kind of 2 people. One of them really needed the help. One of them absolutely did not need the help, and they were really just abusing the system. And then at the end of that year, at the end of 2020, beginning of 21, because I knew about the program, I knew someone that was struggling, and I just said, just see if you qualify for this. I know that you're thinking I'm going to kick you out, but just see if you qualify. If we can get you qualified, great. And that was somebody that we helped. And then it was probably 6. So during 2021, it was probably another 9 months, 8 or 9 months before I heard anybody, needing help again or needing some assistance. So it was a good spell, but yeah, it was only 2 or 3. And now in the last 90 days, it's probably been 6.
Yeah. I have a similar story, right? It comes out of the gate. Again, Olivia and I immediately go through our portfolio. And again, we the first 3 to 4 months, we personally help a dozen people, right? Yeah. Meaning we just didn't, right? We forgave, I guess you would call it. Never got it back. We never filed. We didn't want it, right? We forgave before any, I don't know, programs were created. Programs were created. I think we had 5, maybe 6 in it. 2 of them were playing games. It was horrible to see.
Yeah.
They eventually got abused it and got kicked out anyway. But I hate it when people play the system, because there really are people hurting through no fault of their own.
Yep.
We continued to help a couple. And then this year, the last 90 days, seems like it's 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. We have 3.6% unemployment. The only thing I could think of is just inflation is crushing. And again, I live in California. We have rent control. So we haven't been raising rents a ton, right? We've some. And then again, I have one, it's funny. One of the persons in the system, I don't know how else to say it's got addicted to free money. They were one of the first people. They've been in the program. They've asked for help twice and gotten it.
Yep.
But they think it's going to last forever. And they have a new car. They have they're spending the money, right?
Yes.
So I think there's some people that just think Uncle Sam's going to keep bailing them out. There are some people that are hurting. And I think the bigger problem, the warning, this is really about warning landlords to get ready, build a little more reserve. If you have a portfolio, know that this is coming. I think rent growth is going to significantly disappoint in the future.
Yep.
I think a lot of people got high in the hog and did models that have another 10% next year. If you're in Florida, maybe.
Yeah.
But the other 49 states, you don't have that kind of migration.
No. Maybe some in Texas, honestly, maybe some in New Hampshire. We're still seeing, I honestly think like I'm seeing it, and I'm seeing slow down a lot of places. Florida still hasn't slowed down.
Yeah.
Most of Texas still hasn't slowed down.
Yeah.
New Hampshire really hasn't slowed down. We're still seeing record prices every time that something sells.
Yeah.
But
I think
majority to your point. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if I was a landlord with a portfolio today, and I'm doing this myself, that's why I bring it up. I'm raising my emergency fund just a little bit. Not because I see it immediately. I'm always trying to look behind corners, right?
Yep.
because I've been doing this long enough. I don't want to be surprised by the boogeyman around the corner.
Yep.
I think, I again have invested in an environment where I had 10 to 12% rent collection issues.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Right. Historical average is 3.
Yep.
I think I've been very clear. I think a recession comes next year, and it could be pretty bad. So if I was a landlord with the portfolio, I'd raise my emergency fund a little bit. If I was a landlord with the portfolio, many states, you got to watch out for the tax man. I've heard from a couple of investors in Texas that just had to give up. Their cash flow properties no longer cash flow because the tax man got them.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's a main. So Texas, New Hampshire, Florida. I think Las Vegas, but I know Texas and Florida, New Hampshire for sure. No income tax. Mm-hmm. So because there's no income tax, we get hit with heavy property taxes
yearly.
And so
love Prop 13.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So they do one of two things, and it's kind of a constant back and forth. It is, we lowered your valuation, but we raised the rate. We upped your valuation, but we dropped the rate. But it's always enough back and forth to be climbing. So it's the typical game, right? Yeah. And so most of my properties, even though they say, hey, Michael, good news, taxes went down. They didn't. That's not true. Net taxes did not go down. Yeah. And actual realized taxes did not go down. And so what we saw kind of across the board was about 5%. That's a lot.
That is,
it's only 5% on taxes. And so it's going to eat into your profit. So 5% raise in your taxes means they go from, $6,000 to $6,300. But that 300, if you're making, for $3,000 on the house, then you just got a 10% reduction in profit.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why for us, I don't think New Hampshire, largely speaking, I don't think New Hampshire makes sense for single family rentals, just because I need that second income from the duplex.
Right.
And there's not that big of a discount from a single family to a duplex. There's not that big of a discount on the unit price. So I'm better off with, being the dominator of duplexes and 2s, 3s, 4s, and just living there.
All that resi financing.
Financing, 30-year fixed rate debt.
Amen.
On the line.
There you go. Yeah. So really what I want to tell landlords, again, it's certainly not time to cash out, but it's just have a little bit more emergency fund, plan for higher expenses. Again, what we basically have to go through together, right? You and your tenants, is a couple of tough years.
Yeah.
Inside those couple of tough years, unemployment's going to go up. I think wages also go up. We have to have wage inflation with all this asset price and all this other stuff. You don't go backwards. So the only other answer is we got to inflate into it.
Yep.
But I do think housing and rental, I think housing prices and rental rates, generally speaking, are going to be flat for several years, as they should be, right? It's not normal to get 15, 20% rental increases in a year. So congratulations, you got them early, but now you need to, do the right thing, I think, for a couple of years, because I promise you turnover is more expensive. Is more expensive.
We're selecting units that we're choosing not to raise rent on, and we're selecting units that we're choosing to raise rent on. But we're not doing all of them across the board, because if all of those go vacant, I don't have enough people to start doing all the work to get all those units upgraded to then get the higher price, because we got a lot of inherited units or inherited tenants. So that's one of the strategies that we're deploying. I think one of the other things that we're looking at as well is there is absolutely, in our market, there's absolutely the need for housing. And so, people that are, I have somebody paying $850 for a 1-bedroom.
Wow.
It's worth about $1,400, $1,450. We have a 3-bedroom house that we just did. Basically, Dion Talk Financial Freedom, his binder strategy. We do it through text message, just because most of our tenants are in their 20s and 30s. And so we do everything through text message, because that's the way that they most often communicate with us, is not on the phone. And so we will literally send something over. We sent it over. We said, hey, market rents in your area for what you're renting from us, a 3-bed, 2-bath. That market rent in the area right now is $2,500. Right now you're at $2,100. You've been great tenants. This is the only reason we're extending this to you. is because all of our costs have gone up. And so all we're looking to do is make sure that we, squeeze that, mitigate that. Yeah. So we said, so with the market being $2,500, let us know in a couple of days what you'd be willing to pay.
Oh, nice.
And they got back to us and they said, they basically went from, I think it was 2,000 or 2,100 to 2,300.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. They win, they get to stay. We win, we keep a tenant that we like and that we're happy with. And at the same time too, we don't lose money on the increased costs. Yeah. So everybody wins. And I think that as a landlord, I think you should absolutely be doing that, because you win nothing. Like we had this one landlord that we worked with, and every single time we would hear them complain, person moved out and all of a sudden their deposit was gone and $1,000 on top of that was sent as a bill. Mm. And I'm just like, you're not a good landlord if you have to nit and pick every little thing like that every single time. Yeah. You're always going to have churn, and churn's expensive. Churn breaks models because you have to take the time, a month, sometimes two, get everything redone. If you're not good at that and you can't do that in a week or two, so you only lose a half a month's rent, you're in trouble. So I think that people need to not look at just that final result of how much money the rent is, but recognize that there's opportunity cost and that there's cost associated with getting an increased rent often if you can't keep your existing tenant.
Yeah. Really what I want this video to be about is landlords. We have had a good couple of years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think the next couple of years aren't going to be as good. So for me, it's always about getting prepared so that you can survive and then thrive. Right. I don't want anybody running around a corner thinking life is good and you get smashed by the boogeyman. This is the time to prepare. You got to, recessions are part of the cycle. One is coming. I think one's coming in 2023.
I agree.
We'll see when it comes, but I promise you it is coming. It's just how business cycles work. Matt, do me a favor. Where can people find you and when do you go live?
Lumberjack Landlord on Instagram and YouTube. And I go live Sunday mornings, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. It was a lot of fun. We almost cracked 100 viewers at the same time this week. And it was a lot of fun. Great questions, so awesome. Lots of newbies. So if you're new, you're not going to be embarrassed. There's other new people there too. Ask the questions. That's what we're here for. We want to help people out.
Awesome, man. Thanks again.
Thanks, Mike.